Hi, this is a tutorial on how to use Deadline Cloud around increasing the capacity and the performance of your workers. By default, when you set up Deadline Cloud, if I go in the dashboard, under your farm, and if I go to fleets, and I say, check a little box there and say edit fleet, your fleet for Spot, maximum number of instances is 10, but you might find that the performance isn't very good. You can't render high-end scenes because your vCPUs and your memory is pretty low. What does that mean? Well, if you go into Google and search AWS instance types, you'll get to this page. And if you go to compute optimize, and let's say C5s, right? And we scroll down, these are the cores or virtual CPUs that these instances have. And you'll see here, this is the instance that I can probably get, right? 2 extra large because it has 8 cores and 16 gigs of RAM. But if I have a high-end scene, I might need something like this one, which is 96 vCPUs and 192 gigabytes of RAM. There are other instance types too. If you type C7i, you'll see that these are greater in size also. So it depends on the need of your scene. You'll need access to these machines. So if I go back to cloud over here and I increase these, so minimum, let's say is 32, maximum is let's say 96, and the memories minimum 8, maximum let's say is 64, right? And scroll down, next, and save. Now my farm has access to more higher end machines, right? So that means I was 32 to 96, right? Depending on the memory that I chose, which is most likely this one, I'll get access to this type of machine in my fleet, which is great. The other consideration also is number of workers, right? So how that works is if I go back to the fleet here and I'll say, it's busy editing there, is your quotas. So by default, Deadline Cloud has a quota of 500 vCPUs. So what does that mean, right? So if I say take this over here, 32 vCPUs, I'll say 500 divided by 32 gives me a total of 15.6. So basically 14 workers I'm allowed to have because you can't go over 500, right? So in my fleet, I would spin up, a maximum of 14 workers. And how you can see this is if I select that, under here, maximum number of workers, you can specify 14 because it's based on vCPUs and in terms of your quota. What is a quota? So when you start AWS Deadline Cloud, you get a quota of 500. That means that's your limit. And there's a reason for it, so you don't get a bill shock. And once you get familiar with how the system works, you could then request a quota increase. So you can really take full advantage of cloud. So click on your account name there, click service quotas, let the page load, and here you can access and increase quotas across your AWS account. In our case here, we're going to search for Deadline Cloud. Click over here, say view quotas. And these are quotas that you get. Most will be by default if you haven't changed it. I've changed mine, so I have a default quota of 2,000 vCPUs. If yours is 500 and you want to bump it up, click on the radio button around the Spot vCPUs per region. You scroll up, you say request quota increase, and specify the value that you want, right? And then you'll click request. Generally, for me, it happened pretty quickly. There are SLAs in place, and depending on your account and things like that, it could take different amount of time, but it should be pretty quick for you based on the SLAs. Once that happens, you can go back to your Deadline Cloud, and remember, if you go to dashboard, you go to farm, click on fleets, click the little box to select it, say edit fleet, scroll down. Now you can increase the number of your instances. And with that, when you do renders, you should be able to get more and more workers and more powerful instance types in your fleet. Just remember, the more you have, the more you'll pay based on consumption, right? So just keep an eye on this and keep some of your budgets in mind in terms of your rendering. Hope that helps. Like and subscribe. There'll be some more videos coming soon. Bye.